Folks, some people just can't handle the truth. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the Peel and Durham region for week ending April 17th, 2024. Recently, I was invited to a home for a listing presentation, and as I'm walking through the property, having a look at it, I could see, they had finished basement, bathrooms were updated, kitchen was updated, and that's what was expressed to me on the phone before I got there. So I had one idea in mind. But when I'm there and I'm actually seeing these renovations, the renovations were pretty bad. In my opinion, it wasn't a professional that did these renovations, and a lot of them needed to be redone. However, we're sitting at the kitchen table talking about, amongst other things, pricing of the home and pricing strategy. And when I suggested a price, my price was much lower than what the homeowner's price was. And I asked them, well, why do you feel your price should be there? And they were looking at the same properties I was comparing their home to. So we were looking at the same property, but they would say, well, that has a finished basement, so do we. That has 4 bedrooms, so do we. That has this, that updated kitchen, so do we. And I said, yeah, but their updated kitchen is a kitchen reno. Your updated kitchen, and I was saying this trying not to be offensive as best I could. I said, but yours is more of a refurbished, and it's an unprofessional job at that. Because you could refurbish your kitchen, you could get it repainted or resprayed without replacing the cupboards. But a professional company takes the cupboards away, uses a proper professional techniques to change the color, to spray the paint, whatever it is that they do. But this one was like hand painted. You could see it. And they got paint on the wall. They didn't even follow it. The basement, it was just, the work was so bad. I'm not going to get into all the details there, but you could see that if I was a buyer, or if I brought a buyer into their home, if my client didn't notice those renovations that were not done up to par, I, as the realtor, will be telling my client, say, listen, I know it says here finished kitchen, but these cupboards are just painted by hand. It's still the original kitchen, just painted. Or the bathroom, they changed this and that, but still the same bathtub, same toilet, same sink, or whatever. It's just not a full reno, and the work was bad. So I'm trying to explain, not all finished basements are the same, and the work done at their place is not the same quality as the work in that other home that recently sold. So you can't compare the two. A buyer's going to come in and look at their home, and they'll be prepared to buy it, but at a price that makes sense for the type of renovations they did. They weren't having it. They weren't very excited about what I was telling them. And I'm not sure which route they're going to go, whether they're going to hire me or not to sell their home, because I know they'll find a realtor that'll tell them exactly what they want to hear. That's their prerogative. It's their home. It's their choice. But folks, if you skimp on renos, that's your prerogative as a homeowner. You could do them however you want and enjoy the renos however they are. But when it comes to sell, it's not so much your opinion anymore. It's what the buyer is thinking, what the buyer feels that is going to be important. And if the buyer feels these are cheap, inexpensive renos, the buyer's not going to be prepared to pay the premium that you feel it's worth. So either do the rentals properly or save money, that's fine, but it will affect your price later, and you should be okay with that. And that's the truth when it comes to saving a few bucks on rentals. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. If you feel this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Up here, there's a link to my calendar. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, if you follow us every year, you know, come playoff time, it's go Leafs go. Let's get into the numbers. I've got average sold prices for Mississauga, Brampton, and Durham down here. Mississauga, so far, keeps trending up. Brampton and Durham, a little bit different story here. We're going to start off with Mississauga. 56 detached properties were sold. As far as a weekly volume go, 56 is one of the strongest weeks that we've had in many, many months. 56 were sold. 7 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price down by about $1,000 from the previous week, sitting at $1,560,000. But overall, over the last, well, since February anyways, average sold price overall have been trending upwards. Compared to last year, year over year, 1560 is 1% lower than where the average price was a year ago. The median price is 0% change. We actually have a negative on there because we do round those numbers, but just to show you, average sold price is just a little bit lower than what it was a year ago. The dotted line is showing average price and median price increasing. The dotted line is a 4-week moving average. 56 were sold, 38% sold at list price or more. It's a little bit lower, that percentage, than what we're normally seeing in Mississauga. And listings are starting to increase. 137 were listed. Active listings is starting to climb. We're sitting now at 461 active listings. Now, let me just go back a second. 56 were sold, but there's 461 properties, detached properties, available for sale. So big difference there. And just to put it into perspective, this time last year, there were 265 active listings. That's a 74% increase over the amount of properties available for sale this time versus a year ago. Big difference in active listings. Months of inventory, it's dropped for a couple of weeks now. It's now sitting at 1.9 months of inventory, kind of in the middle of a seller's market, between sellers and a balanced market. Here's Brampton. 55 detached properties were sold. One of those was at $2 million or more. Average sold price is $1,205,000. Brampton, for a while, prices were coming down, was taking a beating. Then they jumped up, and it's kind of tough to say which way prices are going right now. We need a bit more time. But overall, prices have been trending down in Brampton. Compared to last year, 1,205 is 5% lower year over year. The median price is 10% lower year over year. Sales, well, if we go back and we look at, say, March. Now, folks, the orange, that's this year's sales. The blue, that's the same time a year ago. March, we're pretty much on par for what we were doing this time a year ago. But April, we're getting way less sales than what we were selling this time a year ago. The amount of properties, though, selling at list price or more is trending up. 46% sold at list price or more. Listings. So sales are low. Listings starting to climb. 176 detached properties were listed. Active listings is climbing. I'm just going to go back a second. 55 were sold. But at the end of the week, there's still 609 available for sale. To compare, this time a year ago, there were 254 active listings. This year, same period, there's 609. That's a 140% increase in the amount of properties available for sale. That's what's happening with prices in Brampton. The sales versus how many properties available for sale. In other words, supply and demand, there's an imbalance. There's way more properties for sale than what buyers are prepared to buy. For whatever reason why they're not buying. Could be affordability, could be, sellers' expectations to whatever the case is, the result is the same. We have a lot of properties and months of inventory as a result is climbing. We're sitting now at 2.6 months of inventory. As months of inventory climb, prices tend to trend down. Here's Durham. Now, for Durham, I'm using Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby as my Durham sample. 74 detached properties were sold. I can go back a whole year. This is broken down by week, but go back a whole year. 70, 76, 75. There was only 3 weeks in 12 months that saw sales of 74 or more. So it was a very big week in sales for the Durham region. One of those properties sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price up from the previous week to $1,151,000. 1151, 2% lower year over year. The median price is 4% lower. Average prices were increasing for a while, but over the last 2-3 weeks, it seems that maybe they're starting to come down. After all, there's only so much buyers are prepared to take when it comes to prices going up. And even if they want to, affordability just doesn't allow them to spend whatever they want to spend sometimes. 74 were sold, 66% sold at list price or more. Listings are up. 126 were listed. 285 are the active listings. That number is trending up. Year over year, we had 148 active listings this time a year ago. That's a 93% increase in active listings. They've almost doubled. And months of inventory, still extremely low. It's because of the 74 sales that really is keeping that so low, because active listings is increasing, but sales took a big jump. And the math of supply and demand looks at, well, we sold 74 or we bought 74. If that's what we do over the next 4 weeks, well, we've got 0.9 months of inventory right now available for sale. Here's a quick summary. Seller's market, probably in Brampton, a lot of areas is going to be a balanced market. Mississauga, you're going to get a mixture. Some properties are going to go super quick, super fast. I've been in my car driving to a property that was just listed, driving to a property to meet my client to show him I had a book showing, and on the way there, the agent calls me and says, Santo, we just sold it. There I am calling my client, making a U-turn, bringing my tail back home. Folks, go Leaf, go. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.